Good afternoon. I'm Gloria Nelson with TUG, and we're so glad to have you join us today for our TUG Connects 365 programming. As you settle in and get ready for the start of today's webinar, let me give a brief introduction for TUG, the usergroup.org, for both our current members and those of you who represent organizations that have not yet joined our online community of Infor distribution software users. We've all heard the phrase that knowledge is power, and I can say with confidence that after today's presentation, you'll be waking up tomorrow with a little more of both. Today is but one of our many in-depth sessions for our TUG Connects 365 series. TUG webinars, online forums, and member events facilitate the timely exchange of ideas and information to help you work smarter and with more confidence. That is a powerful combination. If you're currently a member, it pays to get even more involved. And if you're not, please visit our website to discover why 2,300 heads are better than one to help you be the best at what you do. And now, without any further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce Ben Firman, Connexiom's VP of Sales. Ben, go ahead and take it away.
Well, thank you, Gloria, and good afternoon, everyone. Appreciate being given the opportunity to meet with the user group this afternoon. My understanding is we're going to spend about 30 minutes sharing some information that hopefully you'll find valuable and insightful. And we're going to make sure that there's plenty of opportunity for Q&A and some polling questions. So the idea is that this will be an interactive session. So yeah, looking forward to connecting with everyone. The Q&A, there'll be a chat box or a Q&A box that you can ask questions. So look forward to that. So yeah, I'm not going to talk too much, going to create plenty of opportunity for Q&A, but I'll start off by making a pretty bold statement. That's probably a brave one to make, and hopefully by the end of today's session, you at least consider it to be a credible statement. And that statement is that Connexiom is the world leader in intelligent document processing. We're the only company on the planet that we know of that can actually take a manually processed document and convert it into a truly touchless digital document with 100% accuracy and without the sender of that document actually changing anything. And that's a really cool thing for us to be doing particularly at this time of the world. And you know, with the sort of increase in desire for automation. So it's an exciting time for me and my team to be in this industry. And I've been with Connexiom for about 4 years and have watched real growth in the industry. We've had 50% compound annual revenue growth year over year in the time I've been with the business, with the exception of last year when we had 70% compound annual revenue growth. And this year we're seeing growth on the same trajectory. So that's really interesting. And I think the heart of that, and I'm probably preaching to the converted here, is that businesses today see that automation isn't a nice to have like it maybe was, you know, a luxury 5 years ago. It is now an absolute necessity. It's imperative that businesses automate non-value added processes. And I think people at Gartner, or probably everyone on this podcast, would agree with that. Now, there are many different areas of a business you can automate. And I'm going to spend the session today talking about probably what I believe to be the most impactful area. But there are many documents you can automate. We do invoices, RFQs, tax certificates, order acknowledgements. But the one area that really moves the needle the most is purchase order or sales order automation. Why is that? Well, it's because that document, a purchase order, directly impacts revenue and customer experience. And the group that are actually at the heart of protecting revenue and customer experience are the customer service team. And again, I may be preaching to the converted here, but the most important group in an organization today, or one of the most important, is indeed the customer service group. The problem is that this group of smart, intelligent, knowledgeable people that own the customer experience are still spending a large portion of their day doing what is actually a very non-value added task. They're manually processing purchase orders, which in 2020, I'm sorry, just makes no sense at all. In a world where I can pull out my phone and have a taxi arrive at my door via Uber, or food delivered, or go onto Amazon and something arrives, you know, the next day on my doorstep, how does it make sense that we're running businesses with legacy processes where these smart people are spending a big portion of their day just keying in orders. It's expensive, it's error prone, and the big thing, the opportunity cost, is what if they could be being proactive and actually serving customers and doing valuable things. So that's the problem we solve at Connexiom. Now, why not move to automation? Why not have all your customers on EDI? EDI remains somewhat of the gold standard for automation between two trading partners. Here's the challenge: it's robust and it's accurate, but the challenge is less than 5% of the customer base will actually be on EDI with you. Maybe 50% of the orders, but less than 5% of the customer base will be on EDI. Websites, fantastic. Everyone should have an e-commerce platform. If you haven't today, it's a great thing to have. But what we still see is typically 3 years after an e-commerce integration, less than single-digit adoption from an ordering perspective. Why is that? Well, because most buyers still need to raise a purchase order in their own system. Having done that, the logical thing to do is to just forward and email it in. So this is a good opportunity for the first polling question. What we will see is that with all these valuable digital channels, still today in 2020, 50 to 70% of all orders are received in a format that are manually entered, they're emailed in, 50 to 70%, still with all these digital channels. So Gloria, I don't know whether you're putting up the polling question, but it would be interesting to see if the user group are having that same experience. Do you have a team of customer service people who are still spending a good portion of their day manually processing orders because still, despite all your efforts of digitization, 50 to 70% of the orders are still coming in via email? It's saying hosts and panelists cannot vote, so I won't be voting, but we'll wait and see. I think Gloria will come in with the results of the poll shortly. So we've got this problem. We've got the problem that a lot of orders are coming via email. People are spending too much time manually keying them in, and that's where Connexiom comes in. So we're the world leader in sales order automation, and there are two fundamental things that we do differently. I'm seeing here that 86% of people are still receiving a large portion of orders via email. So there are two things that Connexiom does really uniquely. The first one is we have the capability to extract data out of a manually entered order with 100% data accuracy. Now, anybody who's been involved in document processing before or automation is probably looking at the screen with side eyes right now thinking, that just sounds like hyperbole. The reason you'll no doubt feel that way is because you've been used to legacy technology, optical character recognition, which is inherently inaccurate. It's an interpretation software. Or maybe you've interacted with AI tools that do an interpretation of what's in the document. But it's very, very rare to actually have the ability to extract with 100% accuracy. And that's what we've done. So that's important because it opens the window now for an opportunity for true automation. But the extraction piece is just one part of the differentiator. The really magical thing is the ability to truly automate all the tribal knowledge and smarts and intelligence that the customer service team deploy when they manually process that order. Because they're not doing just dumb keystrokes, they're making intelligent decisions based on their knowledge of the customer, the trading relationship, your products, your industry, how you trade with that customer. They're making all kinds of conversions. Connexiom's developed 1,400 proprietary algorithms designed to automate that process. So incredibly, of all the emailed unstructured documents that we process, over 80% of them can flow through completely touchless, all with 100% data accuracy, but with all that tribal knowledge automated, 80+% completely touchless. Now, every other vendor we've come across in this space, we can say with a high degree of confidence that they are 0% touchless. So a huge differentiator. And just to give you a sense of how special this technology is, you may have heard of a company called Iconic Capital, one of the world's biggest growth equity companies. They have 57 companies in their portfolio, 36 of them ranked on Forbes top 100 privately owned cloud companies. Iconic Capital invested $40 million in Connexiom. They invest in companies like Zoom and Uber just a couple of months ago because They see us as being a $1 billion software company in the coming years because of this unique capability. So we work with a lot of modern businesses that want true automation, companies that they don't want their customer service team logging in to a new order management system. They don't want their reps reviewing and touching every order. What they want is the ability to transform that customer service function and only have customer service reps looking at orders to handle true exceptions. Grange is a great example. Yes, they're a big company. Yes, they're seen as a leader in automation. They have a lot of EDI, they have a lot of e-commerce, but a big portion of their customers, like you, send orders via email. We process close to 750,000+ documents a year for Grainger today, 1,200 odd customers. 84% of them flow through Connexiom into SAP and are then on the loading dock for shipment within 15 minutes without any human review or touch. Honeywell the same. They replaced the document workflow solution with with Connexiom. Excuse me. Connexiom has to get to 80% touchless for us to hit the benchmark that Honeywell have set. And we've done that, and they're rolling us out globally. So I've mentioned a couple of really big companies there. But the cool thing about Connexiom is that we built this business from actually serve small distribution and manufacturing companies. So if you're looking at this saying, well, Honeywell, they're big, Grainger, they're big, but we're different. We built this business on serving sub $10 million manufacturers and distributors with very little automation. Okay, just a couple more slides and then we'll pause for Q&A. So why is Connexiom the only company then that's delivering touchless? If we're 80+% touchless and other companies are 0%, why is that? Well, the simple answer is that this is a really difficult thing to do, right? PO is a very complex document. Couple of reasons why it's complex. First one is that most of these orders, as we've all agreed, are coming via email and they're unstructured, PDF, Word, Excel, and their formats are unstructured. So it's hard to automate. They can be on 10 pages, 2 pages, the format shifts around. So the ability to identify where the data is and extract it robustly is really difficult. We spent 15 years solving that problem. But then here comes the second thing that makes it really difficult, and probably is the source of your disbelief that we can deliver the outcome that I'm saying we can, is that when your buyer creates a purchase order in their system, it rarely matches up to what Infor needs. So for example, part numbers will be different. They've got their part number, it's not yours. Unit of measure is theirs, it's not yours, it needs to be converted. Pricing's off. There'll be specific things like their system creates an order that's got an address at the line item level. You need to know that that means it's a drop ship. Or they'll order in a quantity, and because of inventory levels, you might need to have the intelligence to break that out into multiple different orders. So the idea that this is just sort of a data entry exercise is wrong. This is a complex, intelligent process. The ability to automate that is really, really difficult, and we do that uniquely. So the flows, excuse me, good time for Q&A so I can stop coughing. So the flows as follows. Customer sends an order. They change nothing. It's routed to Connexiom with a rule in your emails. We extract the data, the correct data with 100% accuracy. We overlay all those business rules and logic to create the option, the ability to get to 80+% touchless. We put that data into a structured file format, typically an 850 or an XML, a flat file, something that you need that will then be imported, often by an API with Infor users, into Infor. Most of our customers using Infor are using SX.e. We have other versions of Infor too. And the order's in the system in 2 minutes. As I say, 84+% of them typically will be completely touchless. So you've solved that big problem. The big problem is you've got to automate. customer service group is at the heart of protecting and growing revenue. They're still spending a lot of their time doing a totally non-value added task, processing orders when you want them, serving customers, cross-selling, upselling, protecting your revenue. You can't change how the customer buys. Connexiom uniquely delivers an automation outcome for those manually entered emailed orders. 100% data accurate, 80+% touchless. So great time for Q&A, and I'm sure there's a lot of people with deep skepticism, which I welcome, and look forward to hearing your questions.
I enjoy the fact that you like to talk about things and mix it up a little bit with skeptics. We do have a question that is populated. Bennett says, we've been thinking about automating our email orders for a long time, but we could never take it on because our IT department doesn't have the bandwidth for another project that is nice to have. So how long does it take for you to be up and running?
Well, it depends how many customers you actually want to automate. I'm going to share a case study in a few moments, which actually talks about how we took a small company and we automated 90% of their orders in 30 days. So it's pretty cool. I mean, it's this is a business project, not an IT heavy project. It would be hyperbole to say, oh, you don't need to involve your IT team. Of course you do. But you're typically looking at 8 to 16 hours, 1 to 2 days of IT involvement. It's really a business project. And one of the things that's unique about Connexiom is we offer a fully managed service, which is really cool because we take on that work getting your customers live. It's a business outcome that we deliver, not a set of software tools that you have to go and configure and use yourself to get the outcome.
It sounds to me like you're touching on white glove service. That's all that we have that's populated right now. So I'm going to invite you to go ahead and continue on with this great content.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
All right, so there are 2 layers to the Connexiom service. And reality is when you pick an automation project, there will be no tool that is right for every customer, right? Just like we said earlier, there'll be EDI for your high volume customers. The lower volume ones will probably be using your e-commerce platform. Connexiom solving that middle group, the ones who are sending you emailed orders, but not all email customers are equal. And therefore there'll be different levels of automation that are appropriate. So I've been involved in this company now for 4 years. I've looked at hundreds, if not over 1,000 different order and line analyses. And what we'll typically see, it's ubiquitous, is that the top 20% of customers will do over 80% of the order lines. Strip out the EDI, strip out the e-commerce of the emailed orders, the top 20%, sometimes less, often less, of customers will do 80 to 90% of all the order volume. This isn't revenue, we're talking about line volume, because that's what's interesting to automate. So they're great candidates for that unique touchless solution that we deliver. And we, Connexiom, we take on the role of building an AI-enabled template for each of those customers' order formats. Again, as I said earlier, those orders will flow through Connexiom. 80% of them will be touchless and will arrive in Infor for processing without any review being necessary. Now, why can't we get to 100% touchless? We're in this sort of seemingly hyperbolic world of delivering things that sound too good to be true. Why can't Connexiom do 100% touchless? Well, the reality is that's just impossible. It's incredible we can get to 80+%. And the reason it's impossible is because people will put things on their order, like a part number that's just not recognized, or pricing that's outside of an acceptable tolerance. So that's where that, I talked about Granger, it kicks up a real exception. Like 16, 17% of their orders, just like with EDI, do need a review. Now you can either handle that in Infor, following an EDI pattern or whatever workflow you want, or you can actually have Connexiom raise an alert for that exception. And at that point, a rep will receive an emailed notification. They'll click a link, they'll go to an exception manager screen, they'll see the original order, the transformed one with the exception highlighted. They can fix it. Connexiom will remember it, building a cross-reference, and push the order into Infor. So it's learning as it goes along, but what's really different to other solutions out there, it starts off with an outcome like a world-class EDI integration, because we built that intelligence to Connexiom before the solution's gone live. So if you had 1,000 customers, chances are you could put 100 of them on Connexium's touchless solution. You might automate 80, 90% of all the emailed orders that are being manually processed. 80% of those will be touchless. All of them will be 100% data accurate. Incredible. Now, but with my example, where there's 1,000 customers, what about the other 900? They may only do 5, 10% of the total volume that's being entered, but wouldn't it be good to have a solution for those? And Connexium does. We leverage our tools and technology, our AI, to do something we call base automation. Now, we haven't built a specific AI-enabled template for each one of these customers. They order too infrequently. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. But we do run their orders through our AI machine, which, by the way, AI, of course, is only as good as the data set it's looking up against. We've been doing this for 15 years. We processed 22 million orders, $100 billion in transactions last year. We built 50,000 unique transformation templates. The AI's got a good data set to work against. So when these base automation orders flow through, we do an incredible job, better than any other solution on the market, in actually building a template on the fly and estimating what's on that order. And our AI is 80% confident it's 100% accurate. So for those low volume customers, you get a world-class workflow solution that does automates most of the order entry work and exception handling. So there is a touch, but it learns over time. So it's the right solution for low volume customers. So what all this is a complete solution for all your manually entered orders that are coming via email. For the high volume ones, a unique touchless outcome, 100% data accurate. For the low volume customers, world leading, exceptional AI enabled automation solution that's better than any other one on the market. So really, really unique outcomes. Might be another good time for us to pause and see if there's any Q&A around this, because this is it's a unique concept in the market, and my sense is that people will perhaps want to dig in here and sort of understand how we do it or how it might work for their business.
We do have a couple questions that have populated. The first is, my company receives orders so complicated that we've never been able to use technology to process them. We have things like drop ships or customers that use parts and descriptions that we haven't used for years. Some even provide their own quantity description, like TR for truck. I assume this would be a problem for Connexiom as well?
No, that's part of that unique ability to automate the intelligence that a star customer service person would do. So think of it this way. If a person manually keying in an order was doing it randomly, then we couldn't automate that. But of course they're not. They're following a set of logical decision trees, if this, then that. We have the ability to build that into Connexium so that the intelligence in their head is replicated through an automation play. But that healthy skepticism is to be expected. You know, we do, every time a customer partners with Connexium, we have a third party that does an interview with them and ask them about their experience with us from the first point of engagement. And one thing that is completely uniform from every single customer is that when they heard this, they believed it sounded too good to be true. And they were deeply skeptical whether or not it would actually work for their business. Their orders were too complex. Their customers ordered in a strange way. How could this possibly work for them? They'd spent decades having smart people where their main function was to make sense of these nonsensical orders. So the skepticism is real. The great news is that we've actually reached a point where it's like a paradigm shift where now customer service people don't have to do that work. They can really be doing what they should be, which is using all those smarts and relationship skills and adding value.
How wonderful. I mean, productivity increases exponentially like crazy. I have another question here, Ben. What happens if there's an error on a purchase order that is sent by one of our customers? They want a quantity that we don't sell, or they have an address we've never seen before.
Yeah, so that would be one of those true exceptions that you can't automate around that. It needs a review. So the choices are either that Connexiom flags that, passes it into Infor, and it goes into an exception handling queue and is dealt with just as it would with EDI exceptions, for example. Or we could use this, I don't know if you could see my mouse, but where we raise the exception via email, and the relevant customer service person goes in and looks at it in Connexiom, makes the change, we remember it, and then it processes it. But the thing that's a game changer about Connexiom is that the team will only be interacting with our interface for those exceptions. Any other solution, they are logging into this document processing workbench system and reviewing every order, every single one. With us, it's sub 20%.
Wow. This begs a question from me, and one that I'm just kind of curious about. Does anyone still handwrite any orders and scan them and attach them to you? I mean, is that something that even you see anymore in the business world, or is everything pretty much an automated process now that comes through some type of an ERP or an API that integrates within systems where you're running Connexiom?
No, unfortunately, and perhaps unavoidably, there is still a percentage of orders that are handwriting. They're full of chicken scratch. People are still using the fax machine, believe it or not. So some people even snail mail. I've spoken with businesses that still have people that arrive at their counter on a horse and buggy, and they've got the order on a 2x4 and they're reading off what they want. I mean, that's just the nature of business. You'll never have a tool that will solve everything, but there's this big messy middle, all these customers that are sending emailed orders. There's just a 50 to 70% or 86% of participants said that was the case for them. There's a huge opportunity to move the needle.
Right. I mean, the possibilities are crazy to think of. That's all that I have that's populated thus far. We encourage anybody to that has a question to pop it into the Q&A bubble. We're still monitoring chat also. So Ben, I'm going to turn it back over to you right now.
Yeah, okay. So we talked about, and Gloria, you touched on this with a question around implementation timeline. So what's typically anyone who's bought software before knows that it sounds fantastic before you've actually bought it, but when it comes to implementation time, everything kind of falls apart like a cheap tent. The cool thing I love about Connexiom is that we've built a company that is specifically designed to deliver the outcome, like a real managed service. So we have a team of connection team developers. We have a team of implementation specialists, group of people that will work with your team and inside 30 days, automate your high value customers to deliver an ROI inside 30 days. How often does that happen when you buy software and roll it out? It's so unusual. So I'm in the lucky position as VP of Sales where I can say, if you partner with Connexiom, we will have automated your high value trading partners inside 30 days. Of course, we'll continue from that point on, but we will have moved the needle and delivered an ROI inside that period of time. So it's all about working with you to get the outcome, as opposed to dropping a set of tools on your desk and saying, customer service team, IT team, go have at it and good luck. Couple of examples of where we've really moved the needle. Mac and Mac use Info, which is why I picked this one. That I think pretty much everyone will know who they are. They're one of North America's biggest electrical wholesalers. They were finding that their team was, like all of our customers, spending way too much time doing a non-value added task, manually entering orders. Errors not huge. It's typically around 1%, but that can be meaningful. I think it was more the time that was being spent and the opportunity cost of them not having their team being able to do more valuable tasks. So we've gone on a journey with them. Like, it started off where we were really moving the needle, like freeing up time. Now, and we got better and better with them as things have evolved. And now, they've reduced order processing times by 80%, completely eliminated manual order entry from the organization. And that customer service group is a world-class one now. Thinking of a company called Genpack, a $500 million manufacturer of food packaging. Their head of customer service said, before Connexiom, we'd spend 80% of our time being reactive, 20% proactive. After Connexiom, we flipped it. So it's about transforming that critical group of people, not replacing them, transforming them to do what you'd want them to do in an ideal world. I love this story. I was involved in this company. This is a small IMS Trading, or a small, relatively small, sub $10 million distributor of consumer products. And we spoke with them back in April, right? They were feeling the pressure post-pandemic. This is a company that had zero automation before they worked with us. No e-commerce, no EDI. In fact, I should have talked about this earlier, Gloria. No IT team, no IT department. And Donna and her team of, I think, 6 customer service people were keying in everything. Now, if there was ever a company that needed that fully managed service, it was them. We got them to the point where 90% of their orders were automated within the first 30 days of engagement. They signed on April 30th. By the end of May, 90% of their orders, well, actually it wasn't the end of May because we had a 2-week hiatus. It was the middle of June, 90% of their orders were automated. With that, 80+% touchless rate. It's just an incredible outcome. So the way we will typically operate is that there needs to be a journey of sort of suspending your disbelief, like helping you recognize that we can do this. So a great thing to do is to get a sense of, well, what is the shape of your customer base? How many orders does they send? Who's doing what? Would they be good for touchless or base automation? Of course, there needs to be a proof of concept where we actually show you this working, right? We process some of your orders in a demo environment. Of course, there are references and there's a deep analysis of your manual order entry process today, but we can typically in a 30-day window take you through that journey. And if you're ready to get started, we'd be ready. So in conclusion, I would say in your business today, I'm sure if you're on this webinar, you recognize that automation is important. Of all the areas that you could automate, the customer service function and the processing of purchase orders is the most impactful. It will move the needle the most quickly. And you've got an ability using this technology and this business service to do that in an unprecedented, short period of time. Really get an ROI within 30 days. So I know it sounds too good to be true, but it is true and it's a no-brainer. So again, I'm going to, I promised I'd keep this to about 30 minutes. I think I'm 2 minutes over. So again, pause for Q&A.
Ben, you are a man of your word, and I'm sure that our online attendees really appreciate that. We have a question that says, how do you charge for your service? Is it a flat fee or per transaction?
Fantastic question. So remember, there are 2 levels of the service. It is a flat fee for the touchless based on tiers of customers you want on touchless, irrespective of volume. For the base automation, you make a commitment to a bucket of orders, typically in segments of 10,000 orders. So it's like a document cost, and that's contracted that way. So we'll give you a fixed price to do everything, but there are 2 sort of tiers of doing it.
Wonderful. And then also, this is a 1-2 punch question. Do our CSRs need to be in the office for Connexiom to work, and how quickly can we get up and running? You answered the second part of that question. You said about 30 days. So do our CSRs, the question from the audience is, do our CSRs need to be in the office for Connexiom to work?
No, and that's a really cool thing, because with the pandemic striking, so many people had to send their valuable CSRs home. And we were at, those that were already using Connexiom found it invaluable from a business continuity perspective. And a lot of people signed up quickly because they needed a solution that would handle the fact that their CSRs are no longer sitting in front of the computer screens in the office.
That's wonderful. Here's an interesting question. It says, we've looked at different options over the years and are looking again now for a solution, and they all range in various pros and cons. So how is Connexiom different from everyone else? Good question.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think fundamentally it comes down to this. If you want a situation where your customer service people are still interacting with every single order, you want a customer service workbench. You want, like, I would call it like a faster horse. You don't want the world to change. You just want to do things a bit quicker with nice dashboards and efficiencies. We are not your vendor. There will be lots and lots of vendors out there that will do a great job. If you align, I mean, this is fundamentally it. If you see the world that automation is key and you want touchless and you want your people doing materially different things, not reviewing every order, we stand alone as being the only player that can deliver that outcome without your buyer having to change anything.
That's fascinating. Ben, I don't see anything else populating just yet. What I wanted to ask is, can you give an audible? What's your preference in terms of someone wanting to contact you regarding exploring Connexium further? What's your preference and best way to reach you?
Yeah, I'd be delighted to receive a phone call. Actually, I should have put my cell number on there, but an email would be great. That's my email address, and I can assure you that if you email me, I will respond very promptly.
Okay, so that's Firman, Bfirman at Connexiom.com is your email address to reach out to. And
Absolutely.
at this time, we don't have any additional questions. So I'm going to take and say a swift couple of words here with our online audience and then wrap things up. So Ben, first of all, thank you so much. For those of you that don't know, Connexium is relatively new to the TUG world, and we're delighted to have you in our mix and also sharing what your product does for people and making them work smarter and not harder, Ben. And as with most all of our webinars, this presentation will be available on our TUG website. Whoops, let's see here. Something just went sideways. Somebody just grabbed my screen, so hold on a second here. Let me get back to it. That's okay, Ben. I won't punish you. I won't hurt you. I promise not to hurt you.
Wasn't me.
So that wasn't you, it was somebody. Okay, so this presentation will be available on our TUG website for future reference and posted to the appropriate forum board as well, so that you have quick access to that link for viewing on the next business day. We'd also like to invite those of you who are members of TUG to continue this discussion online in the members only forums, because that's where lots of things and self-help take place as well. Also, our next scheduled webinars will be this Friday at noon with our Facts Friday content, and at 2 p.m. also, both Eastern time, with our financial group panel discussion. So make sure you watch your inbox and also the TUG forum boards for registration links. And for those of you who are not yet TUG members, please visit www.theusergroup.org and join today. And as they say, folks in Hollywood, that's a wrap.